Welcome to Eerie Bites of History, your daily serving of strange bites of the past. Today, we have a new world in the stars, the end of a mind-shaping legacy, and a peaceful unraveling of a kingdom, all of which happened on September 23rd. Let's begin. On September 23rd, 1846, German astrologer Johann Gottfried Gau made history when he became the very first person to lay eyes on the distant planet of Neptune. But what makes this discovery so extraordinary is that it wasn't found by accident, nor was it simply stumbled upon through chance observation. Instead, Neptune was predicted before it was ever seen. For years, astronomers had been puzzled by the irregularities of Uranus's orbit. It wasn't moving exactly as Newton's laws of motion said it should. Two mathematicians, Urbain Le Verrier in France and John Couch Adams in England, independently crunched the numbers and came to a daring conclusion. There had to be another, unseen planet tugging on Uranus with its gravity. Using Le Verrier's precise calculations, Galilei pointed his telescope at the night sky from the Berlin Observatory, and on that very night he spotted Neptune, almost exactly where the math had predicted it would be. This was the first time in history that a planet had been discovered through mathematics rather than pure observation. It proved the incredible predictive power of science and expanded our understandings of the solar system, and it showed that the cosmos still held secrets waiting to be unraveled. Math and science working together on this discovery is fascinating. Did you know that math was also used to find Pluto? But in Pluto's case, it was a happy accident, since that's not actually what they were looking for at the time. On September 23rd, 1939, one of the most influential and controversial figures in modern thought, Sigmund Freud, passed away in London. Freud, often called the father of psychoanalytics, had fled Vienna the year before after the Nazi annex of Austria, escaping persecution as a Jewish intellect. Though in exile, his health was failing rapidly. For nearly 16 years, Freud had been battling a disfiguring cancer of the jaw, the result of his lifelong addiction to cigarettes. Multiple surgeries left him with prosthetics, infections, and constant agony. By the final months, even speaking and eating were torment. Despite this, Freud continued to write and receive visitors, determined to remain intellectually active until the very end. His death, however, carried the moral weight that still sparks debate. He had long confided in his physician, Dr. Max Schur, that he did not wish to suffer endlessly. His final days, when the pain was unbearable, Schur honored Freud's wishes and administered a heavy dose of morphine. It was not described as a suicide, but rather an assisted release from unrelenting suffering. The decision raised profound questions. Should a patient have the right to choose the time of their own death? Is it a mercy, or is it a crossing an ethical line? Freud's passing remains a case study in dilemmas of euthanasia and the struggle between prolonging life and alleviating suffering. Freud's work revolutionized the understanding of the human mind, and it's strangely fitting he met his end by what he would have seen as a logical decision to end his terminal suffering. On September 23rd, 1905, a remarkable moment in Scandinavia, a remarkable moment unfolded. After nearly a century of political union, Norway and Sweden came together not for war, but for peace. On that day, representatives of both nations signed the Karlstad Treaty, a landmark agreement that officially dissolved their uneasy union. The story begins in 1814, when Norway, after centuries of Danish rule, forced into a union with Sweden after the Napoleonic Wars. Though Norway maintained its own constitution and parliament, foreign policy and much of its sovereignty remained in the hands of Sweden. Over time, frustration grew. Norwegians increasingly demanded full independence, while Sweden feared losing its influence and territory. By 1905, tensions were running high, and Europe braced itself for another possible war. Instead, cooler heads prevailed. The negotiators from both sides met and hammered out a compromise. The treaty allowed Norway to stand as a fully independent nation, while ensuring Sweden's security along the borders. It was not an easy decision. They ultimately chose democracy over bloodshed. This is a rare occurrence throughout history. The breaking up of a nation is often met with violence, revolution, and civil war. Yet here, two neighboring countries chose dignity and restraint. A separation like this is rare to hear about, especially without conflict of war, and should be an example that resolutions without bloodshed is possible. Could you imagine if only more conflicts used similar tactics? Like your history snack-sized? Drop us a comment with your favorite bite and subscribe. Join us daily for your eerie dose of the past.